Back in the day, there was no mistaking the sound which accompanied this Eliminator.
Start line, you hear that thing.
We would go wow and drop the clutch, and the thing would just go straight in the air. You know, I mean, it was the craziest thing you ever seen.
Yep. You start on. We had like five ambers back then, so when that first one come on, you would put it. Go wooden. At the time the fifth one come on, you had her up there way high. So you could tell when Modified was running. It didn't matter where you were in the pits, that's for sure.
Modified Eliminator was described by some as blue-collar Eliminator, a working man's kind of division, dominated largely by high-winding small blocks of the three major manufacturers. Modified was a diverse kind of category, which under the NHRA sanction hosted every kind of car, from the classic Corvettes to high-winding rotary Mazdas to screaming Opel GT gassers. Modified was based on pounds per cubic inch, with an emphasis on asking the car to do the impossible. And little did those who were racing the style of racing know, they were building a fan following which was a close second to the old-school pro stockers of the day. David Nickens was one of those who lived the life of a modified racer.
We wound them as high as they would go. We didn't have two-step limiters. We went wide open, and we shifted wide open. I mean, it was the darndest thing you ever seen. And the burnouts were fun. Jeez, we did 2 or 3 burnouts back in them days.
Modified Eliminator was our roots. We started out there with an A Super Modified back in, I'm going to say, 73, 74, when NHRA made that class. And then it was supposed to turn into a heads-up class, and it wound up being in the Modified Eliminator handicap racing. And when they did away with it, it was really a shame, because basically it was a class that had 6, 7 cars in the class, and you all fought for who was the fastest D-modified production or A-modified production. And when that race was over, hey, I was the fastest AMP car there. Then when they combined it, they just took all the heart of who's got the fastest and baddest in the country in Modified Eliminator. And it was a lot of fun back then.
Jerry Coley, who raced Modified for many years in NHRA and IHRA, said the class was a working man's division.
Blue collar or less, because back in those days everybody did their own thing. They built their own cars, so to speak, or bought one already built. I happened to buy them already built, but you didn't have the cookie cutter cars in those days like you have today. You got the money, you just order you one. Back then you found you a good one and then tweaked on it and made it run.
While Gene Fulton's NHRA experience was limited, on the IHRA side, he was a king in many respects. A 5-time IHRA modified champion, Fulton admits the competitiveness of the class taught him how to be successful in more ways than as a drag racer.
Modified Eliminator was a great class because it was weight to cubic inch, what racing actually started out to be. We would have a fair playing field. And the great thing about Modified, the technology did not exist to start with. It was just one person against another, basically. The money wasn't involved, high technology wasn't involved. It was just us competing like a sport. And the technology kind of unfolded over a long period of time until modern times, when money and this electronic technology just took this stuff off the scale. And then it was just more like a sport, like an athletic sport. It was a competition between me and you. And it was great, and it was fair, and it was flat out to start with, like some of the pro classes are today. And really the sharp guy could win then.
Mike Edwards, now a dominant pro stock racer, will forever go down in drag racing history as the last driver to win a modified championship. Edwards, who went on to win an NHRA pro stock title, said his modified crown means as much to him as his professional championship.
I mean, you have to work hard to do anything out here to win a race, let alone win a championship. And it rates right up there to my championship I won a couple years ago in pro stock, that's for sure.
Up until the 1980s, sportsman drag racing was limited to handicap sportsman racing, and one of the up-and-coming styles was Pro Gas, later renamed Super Gas. The NHRA saw an opportunity to bring in an untapped market with the Super Gas cars, and once this style of racing exhibited in 1980 at the NHRA Winter Nationals and later the U.S. Nationals, the handwriting was on the wall. Prior to the 1981 U.S. Nationals, NHRA announced modified would be disbanded and classes divided between Superstock and Competition Eliminator. This decision did not sit well with the modified racers, who organized a parade on the pit road at Indianapolis Raceway Park during the first round of Top Fuel. Their intent was to make a statement, and it was the protest heard around the drag racing world.
Well, it meant a lot to me because I thought that the racers bonded together. They showed the NHRA that they really cared about what they were doing, and it meant a lot to us to go up there and at least be able to state a point to NHRA and show them that, we were going to take a stance about it and show them that it really mattered to us.
Oh, they stood up for their, wanting to stand up for their rights back then. They didn't want to do away with that class. I mean, them guys, that was the roots, the real roots. Those were the real races back then.
Hey, we want to save our class, We had the option of running 2 other classes, but, we raced modified because we liked modified, We raced modified because we liked the people that was in the class, and, when you had to run a different class, you had to change your car up some, and that meant probably spending more money, which, at the time was not, anything anybody really wanted to do, so.
The fact their Eliminator was essentially replaced by bracket racing, well, it didn't sit well with many of the modified racers, who simply quit racing rather than exploring the other options. These classes simply weren't modified.
No way. I think the creative part of Modified Eliminator, guys worked on their stuff. They spent a lot of time with it, and Super Gas racers are a different breed of racers. They're good in their own rights, but it's not Modified Eliminator.
In the end, Mike Edwards believes maybe Modified had already run its course, and disbanding the class was its way of helping drag racing move into a new frontier.
But, in the scheme of things, you look back on the whole thing, I guess if it had to happen, I guess it happened at the right place, at the right time, I guess. But I sure did miss the racing. I miss the guys because, a lot of guys just actually quit, traveling the circuit or going to most national events that had real competitive cars and modified that actually just either sold them or, bracket raced or did something else. So I think we lost some really good racers when they did that, for sure.
Kathy Fisher, CompetitionPlus.tv.